Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining us here today. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are gathered on the traditional territory of the signatories to Treaty 7 and acknowledge the Métis people of Alberta who share a deep connection and history with this land. With the Calgary Stampede in full swing, I think we can all agree that it's been an amazing week for celebrating our heritage and our culture, for recognizing the diversity of our communities, but most importantly, for spending time with family and friends. The midway, the rodeo, the pancakes, all of it is celebration coming together. But I think it's fair to say that this stampede, more than any other, Alberta families have also had to watch their wallets. For some, those free breakfasts are more welcome than usual. Because today, Albertans are dealing with financial pressures that are out of control. Inflation has hit 7.7% in May, the sharpest increase in cost of living in nearly 40 years. Half of Albertans have never seen this happen in their lifetimes. But we can all feel it. Albertans are paying more from everything from gas to groceries. And according to economist Trevor Tombe, the pressure on the average family equals $400 a month in new expenses every month. It's only going to get worse. Today, in an attempt to rein in inflation, the Bank of Canada announced that it would raise interest by a full percentage point to 2.5%. That's the biggest one-time increase in the bank's rate since 1998. This is tough medicine, and it means that Albertans will feel even more financial pressure. Anyone who has a mortgage, a car loan, a line of credit, student debt, a credit card is going to be paying more out of pocket. A recent Ipsos poll conducted for the accounting firm MNP shows that Albertans are already more likely to feel the effect of interest rate increases. They're concerned about their ability to repay debts as interest rates rise, and say that if interest rates go up much more, they'll be in financial trouble. Folks, this is a crisis, and it's getting more serious. And while Alberta families are worried about making the mortgage family, what are the UCP doing? We have a premier with one foot out the door who's declaring fake holidays that no one asked for. And the remainder of the UCP has collapsed into a toxic mess of incompetence and infighting. They're pushing bad, expensive ideas to mess around with pensions and to repaint police cars, while families are having to cut back on food and clothing just to cover the power bill. This is wrong. I'm here today to tell that UCP government to get their priorities straight. Stop the leadership campaigning, stop the legacy building and bad ideas, and help families fight inflation. Do something, anything. There are easy actions this UCP government can take right now to ensure that people have more of their hard-earned income in their pockets. They could, so Albertans can put food on their table, so they can keep the lights on, and so they can breathe a little easier. They could stop their billion-dollar income tax grab and inflation-proof Alberta's tax system by re-indexing the tax code and benefit programs. What does this mean? It means the average family of four would receive $350 more. The average senior would receive $400 more. And Albertans receiving AISH would receive $1,500 more. That's not all. The UCP could reverse their hikes to post-secondary tuition. They could cut the interest on student loans. They could put the cap back on car insurance or take real action on power prices. They could scrap the fees they brought in for camping and hiking. All of this would mean more money back in Albertans' pockets at a time when they need it most. UCP MLAs are here in Calgary for the Stampede, which means Jason Kenney could easily call a meeting today and take real action to help make life more affordable. The question is, why won't he? Thank you, and I'll now take your questions.
Okay, we'll start with questions in person, then move to on the line. Okay, we'll go to questions on the line first, actually. Just a reminder, if you're joining by Zoom, to use the raise hand function. Okay, seeing none, we'll go back to questions in person.
Kevin Green from CTV. I have a question that's unrelated to the topic of the day, but you're a Calgary MLA. It's about Deerfoot Trail and the cancellation of the P3 project for that. What does that mean for Calgary motorists who've been, I think it's fair to say, suffering through Deerfoot Trail for a couple of decades?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually think it's good news for Calgarians that we're seeing the UCP not proceeding with the P3 method, because we have seen many instances in which P3s don't work out very well for the Alberta taxpayer. However, I do think that the UCP needs to get its act together, and it needs to take real action so that Calgarians are spending, less time commuting and more time doing the things they want to do.
By kind of resetting the P3 process that they've been engaged in, that it just means more delays. I've been reporting here long enough that it's been more than 2 decades that I've been reporting on Deerfoot Trail upgrades being necessary.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely necessary. I definitely think the government should be moving more quickly. If they'd moved back when they were first elected, when prices were still low because we were still in a recession, I think they could already sort of be underway at this point. In terms of resetting the P3 process, I think, again, that it's probably better for Alberta taxpayers not to go by that method, just because it tends to put the profit with the private company, it tends to put the risk with the public company. And in particular, I'm really glad that we're not going to see them sort of adding tolls to this project.
Okay, we're back to questions on the line. First question goes to Shalane Spolsky.
To today's announcement. Thanks so much for taking it, though. I'm just wondering if you had a reaction to the documents that were released by the province last night, as ordered by an Alberta judge last week, in regards to decision-making process on ending pandemic restrictions, particularly as it pertains to masking in schools for kids last February.
So I think it's an incredibly important issue to Albertans. I haven't seen the documents as of yet, so I don't have a reaction for you right at this moment. But, I think we may be sort of moving through the pandemic, or maybe not, but I think it'll be an important consideration going forward.
Follow-up, Shalane?
Yeah, just as a follow-up, we're starting to hear concerns from teachers who are gaining a bit more insight into the province's decision-making process as a result of these documents, and a little concerned given wastewater numbers are increasing. I guess what considerations or concerns do you have as the province makes decisions around pandemic measures for schools heading into the fall if we were to see cases rise again?
Oh, that's a really interesting question. I can tell you, in the past, I think the government has done far too little to support schools. I think they've done far too little to support students and parents and teachers. They had the opportunity to create safer spaces for students, to increase class sizes, and instead they were cutting teachers and they were cutting EAs, and they were just essentially making it more difficult for everyone. So I certainly hope that going forward that the government does a better job of listening to parents, of listening to students, and of listening to teachers. But again, I haven't seen the specific documents, so it's difficult to comment on those.
Any other questions, Shalane?
No, I think that's it for me. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Okay, we'll do want to pass for questions, either in person or on the line here. And
in terms of topic of the day. So what will your government do in terms of concrete action to try and reduce costs for Albertans, given both inflation and interest rates rising?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think some of the things we could do right now today include real action on power prices. So whether that's a rebate program or reinstituting the cap, I think that could be done pretty much right away. I think the government has increased the interest rate on student loans by a percentage point, so they could actually reverse that, and it would kind of neutralize the impact of this. I think as well, this government has increased taxes on average Albertans. They've cut benefits to seniors. Those things could be reversed easily. And they've also increased tuition, and because of their cuts to MSI funding, they're sort of forcing up everyone's property taxes. So those are a lot of things, but they're all things that the UCP could do right away.
okay, And seeing no other questions, that's all for today.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Much for watching, and to learn more, check out albertasfuture.ca.